What good advice do you think is actually bad advice? Advice 1. Quitting is completely underrated, and elegantly exiting a broken venture early is a very important life skill. I would even say it separates winners from. I am a recently retired CEO and partner in a private equity firm. Quitting takes many forms in financial services: exiting, IPOing, selling strategically, finding a buyer, liquidating, merging. All of it means monetizing your investment. Sometimes that's a success, and sometimes it means minimizing losses. It is always better to do this planfully and at the earliest opportunity to make room for the next deal. Holding on to properties for the perfect exit is faulty thinking. I find that if employees manage their skills as entrepreneurs manage their businesses, they would earn more, be more empowered, and the utility function of the whole enterprise would rise. Don't become emotionally attached to your workplace. It's always a transaction. Like the people, yes, but you owe nothing to your company beyond applying the skills for which you are compensated. If you want to advance at your company, find a mentor in senior management and soak up good advice. Set a reasonable time frame for advancement and lay the groundwork for an alternative that will trigger at your deadline. Do this always. You are invested in you. It's not selfish, it's life-affirming. You can give more opportunities to others if you have opportunities to give. It's important to get to know yourself and to focus relentlessly on improving yourself. And when you do this, you won't accept less, and you won't have to. As for the folks who are struggling mightily, thank you for sharing and hanging in there. Life is worth living. If you don't believe me, I dare you to make it worth living. Advice 2. As soon as you get married, every married couple who has been together a month longer than you have suddenly has tons of advice for you. Love means never having to say you're sorry. No, you're going to apologize a lot when in a relationship, so are they. It's about working through it, figuring out the problem and being better for the person you love. Never go to bed angry. No, go to bed. You're probably only fighting because you're tired. Go to bed, snuggle, have angry sex, whatever. Unless it's a life or death situation, there isn't a whole lot you're arguing about that. Can't wait until tomorrow. And here I am giving advice like I know anything. Hypocrite. Advice 3. God has a plan, or God doesn't give you more than you can handle. Look, I'm Catholic. I believe in God. I pray, go to church, etc. What I don't believe is that God has mapped out our lives and everything that happens in them. Every little thing that happens to us isn't the doing of a supreme being. Sometimes stuff just happens. Some good, some bad. If you believe in God and free will, this is pretty clear. If God really did just decide each and everything that went on, there's no free will. If there's no free will, there's no good or evil, because we don't have a choice. Things just are. But that's not how it works. Don't blame God if you get cancer and assume He gave it to you as a challenge. That's ridiculous. Cancer sucks. If God loves you, He's not going to give you a horrible illness. It is oak to be oak if you can't handle it by yourself. It is oak if you're overwhelmed. Every bad thing that happens isn't some sly test from God. That's ridiculous. Similarly, if your child almost dies and he's saved at the hospital, how about thanking the doctor instead of God? Blaming/crediting God for everything can be a cop-out. It is a way to avoid the reality of a situation, to skirt responsibility, to give yourself an excuse for not addressing it. Stop doing the AAT. Advice 4. Do it yourself/don't ask for help. You cannot do everything by yourself. What I mean by that is sometimes you'll need help from other people. My dad was always the type of person to walk through mud and hell just to do something so he wouldn't have to ask others. It was his pride. My brother and I both picked up on this without knowing. Sure, he struggled, and of course, like many of us my age, I'm 25, our parents didn't get along. So once my dad stopped relying on my mom, he became super independent. He would catch the bus to work, no matter the distance or how he felt. One time a spider bit him at work and he had bad knee complications because of it. But this guy walked 2 miles for a bus and made it to work, regardless of what the doctor said. There were plenty of people offering to give him rides, but he never accepted, and it was dumb of him not to. I'm not saying take all the help in the world, but if you have a hill to climb and someone is giving you a walking stick, take it, especially when they want to help. I learned this from my dad without ever realizing it, and my brother and I still talk about how some of the stuff he taught us was messed up. It cost me a relationship that might have been really amazing. I was so used to living my life without relying on anyone. Catching the bus 3 hours one way for a job, never taking any help at all. Suffering inside the whole time, and people just think I'm really strong. Well, I wasn't. Advice 5. Everything will get better. As someone who's struggled with generalized anxiety and depression since I was a child, I've wasted so many years waiting for everything to get better or for my life to be okay. I was waiting for this moment of brightness where better would be delivered. I've come to the realization that no amount of talking, waiting, or hiding will change your life. Action changes your life. It isn't about moving mountains, but about making the effort to skim pebbles. Write detailed lists of small goals. Go to bed before 11 p.m. Say yes to the next outing with friends. Save $50 this month and commit yourself to achieving them. Take joy in ticking them off your list. Find an app that shows this process. Don't berate yourself if you don't achieve some. That happens to everyone, but commit to taking responsibility and action in your life. It's not hard to do small things like a load of laundry or washing the cat's water bowl. If you tick one thing off your list a day, and that's all you can manage, be proud you did. The pride you will build is surprising. Ignore other people around you. All that matters is what you do for yourself to heal your perception of yourself. It took me until this year after I turned 29 to realize this. I wish someone had given me this gentle advice earlier. Hearing people talk about, you've just got to get up and do it / you need to come up with a plan was terrifying in its vast scope. So I hope this helps someone who is feeling the same way I felt. Good luck, X. Advice 6. A knight in shining armor has never had his mettle truly tested. No. A knight in shining armor maintains it. He fights every fight, and afterwards, he spends so much time recovering to take care of his armor, replacing broken straps, rub off rust, hammer out dents, or even get new pieces. I see people use this as some sort of excuse for being shitty people, for not dealing with their troubles, for glorifying their behavior and trying to shoot down those of us who don't act like we feel horrible even if we do. And I also encounter this in SESTA, IMCF, and HEMA areas as well. And this time it's literal and also incredibly shitty. A knight in shining armor takes HOURS to upkeep his kit if something breaks or dents or rusts. I'm in my 20s and I'm tired of men in their 40s or 50s who scoff at me when I'm outside my tent, polishing my armor, and then take to the field in rust buckets that could be, frankly, shameful to the hobby. Now, if they take to the field in ill-maintained armor, I'm fine with that. But when they try to push me down because I do something they don't have the energy to, it's just so incredibly tiring. Advice 7. Go to college straight after you finish school. Almost everyone is told, in Ireland at least, that you should go to college ASAP and get some form of degree. Most people at the age of 17, 18 here just pick a course that they know very little about just for the sake of going to college like everyone else. Most people end up dropping out because they've no interest in studying or else lack the maturity to survive college exams. I think it's so stupidly obvious not to advise someone into a 3/4 year commitment unless they are sure it's something they absolutely want. Taking a year or so for themselves to work a menial job or travel around is for a large group of people the best way to go at that age. Just give them time and space to find their own inspirations / aspirations. I would estimate that out of everyone in my class of 160, at least 150 moved on to some form of further education. 50 would have dropped out within a year, and less than 25 would have finished the degree they started with initially. College is most certainly not for everyone, especially those just finishing school. Advice 8. Do what you love. That's a nice sentiment, but it only works for a lucky few. A friend of mine loves playing the guitar. He's in a band. A couple of bands, actually. He plays 3 to 4 nights a week and has a great time. He could be a full-time musician, but he also likes being able to eat, pay his mortgage, and get a new car. So if he has a job that lets him pursue his dreams on the side, even that's not an option for everyone. but I see and hear about a lot of people who say that their job isn't fulfilling, and I wonder why they think it needs to be. Yeah, it's bad if you actively hate your job, but there's nothing wrong with it being something you do to pay the bills. I like being a computer programmer, but at this point it's more of a pay the bills kind of thing. I'm married with a couple of kids, and I'm past the stage where I give a crap if my job inspires me. Toilet training inspires me. Teaching thing 1 to read inspires me. Getting 8 hours of sleep a night and running a few days a week inspires me. Work is just work. Advice 9. A happy wife is a happy life. After the birth of our daughter, the doctor said, happy wife equals a happy life. It became the mantra for our new little family, and I bought into it completely. Sold my soul to be the provider and husband and basically forgot myself. Fast forward 15 years and a little midlife crisis maybe, but whatever. And I looked at myself in the mirror and hated the overweight middle-aged dude who used to be so much more. I started exercising more and getting back to hobbies I loved, cycling, paddling, etc. Eventually I came back to that same fun guy she married, but not before we had troubles in our relationship. Breaking her of that happy wife, happy life mantra was difficult for her and I. With some good counseling, we were able to find ourselves again, and we are both better for it, but not before looking over the cliff and about to jump off. It has helped her too. She values herself more and is proud to have the relationship we currently have. In counseling, the happy wife, happy life thing came up, and she completely agreed that it was perhaps not the right tone for our relationship. Now it's happy couple equals a happy life. Advice 10. Listen to your heart. It's often said to mean that you should listen to your emotions and do what feels right to you. That kind of thinking leads to people cheating on their so because it felt right, as well as a ton of other things. Pretty much anyone you've ever met who did something bad and was totally unremorseful about it lives by this code because they felt that their heart was behind their actions. They feel it was the best action to take, no matter what people tell them. As well, it can be a really damaging train of thought for people with depression, anxiety, and anger problems. If you're taught that your emotions are always right and are working in your best interest, you won't fight your disorder. You will go with whatever emotions they give you. It makes them feel powerless against their disorder because they think that their emotions are who they are. Your emotions are not who you are. Your choices are who you are. My grandpa was a psychiatrist for years and always tried a therapy approach before medication, and his mantra for years has been emotions lie.